The number one key to victory for the Aggies to beat Arkansas is to get the ground game going early.
You are Locked On Aggies, your daily podcast on the Texas A&M Aggies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on into Locked On Aggies. I'm your host, Andrew Stefaniak. Thanks for making Locked On Aggies your first listen every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet and you'll get started with $200 of bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Ladies and gentlemen, on the show today, we're going to talk about some keys to a victory. We're going to predict the rest of the schedule for the Aggies when it comes to wins and losses. And then we're going to talk a little bit about Conner Weigman, Marcel Reed, some updates there, what is going on with all of that. So that is the show today. But the number one key to victory, like I said, is being able to run the football. I think Arkansas has been a little bit better against the run than many anticipated heading into the season. And here's the problem. Here's why you're going to always have to run the ball well if you're Texas A&M. Colin Klein's not going to go away from it. The Aggies offensive coordinator, Coach Klein, is not going to go away from the run. He's not. They're going to run it a substantial amount more than they're going to throw it in this football game. And I think they're going to do that in every game this season. Maybe there'll be some games where you see it, you get a little closer to balance, but I don't feel like this will be one of those games. I feel like this will be a ground and pound type of football game. And here's the deal. If you're running for a yard and a half every carry, a buck and a half every carry, you're not going to win this football game. I mean, that's the serious. And, heading into the season, y'all, I mean, in the offseason, I was not a huge believer in this Arkansas team. I'm not convinced yet, but I believe they're capable of beating good football teams. So you got to go in and play your best. This is not going to be a game where you can go in and mess around and get the victory. You have to play your best football in this game. And your Texas A&M's best football means they're gaining yardage on the ground. They're creating second and short, third and short because of the run game. They're able to use Marcel Reed's legs in the run game, and that creates opportunities in the passing game. That is how this football team is their best. So I think that key to me is being able to run the football. That's going to play a huge role in this game. If Texas A&M is able to get it going on the ground, which once again, Arkansas, Auburn had an okay day on the ground. Oklahoma State did not have a good day on the ground. They've been solid so far, stopping the run. So your goal needs to be to get a push and don't let that continue in this football game. And this kind of rolls into winning in the trenches, obviously both sides of the ball. It's cliche. It's always going to be a key to victory in every football game is winning the trenches, because if you don't win the trenches, it's really hard to win a game. But a Sam Pittman coach teams where you really want to win in the trenches. Coach Pittman and his Arkansas Razorbacks are known for being physical, and we want to out physical you. We want to out trenches you. We want to beat you there. Maybe you're more skilled outside. Maybe you've got better running backs or whatever, but we're going to play more physical football than you, and that's how we want to beat you. That's kind of just Sam Pittman football, which is I respect that brand of football a lot. But I'm just telling y'all, I think the Aggies can win the trenches in this game. I think that Arkansas is a solid defensive front. I think they have an okay offensive line. I think they're physical. I think Texas A&M is better on the defensive line, and I think offensive line, it's somewhat close. I think any way you lean there is fair, but the key here, there's not going to be a real home field advantage. You're going to have Razorback fans and you're going to have Aggie fans. Okay, so you got to win in the trenches. I think if the Aggies can have it be a stalemate on the offensive line and win on the defensive line, you'll take that. I think that Texas A&M's offensive line is playing good football right now. I think that's going to continue. Now, also, once again, we talk about this a lot. It's a lot easier to run block than it is pass block. I always love when people ask me, one of my favorite questions I get asked is like, I played a little bit of offensive line in high school, and people always ask me like, Andrew, why is it so much easier to run block than pass block? And it's very simple, ladies and gentlemen. When you are run blocking, you are delivering the boom. You are delivering the punishment. When you are pass blocking, you are taking it. It's the same thing. It's like, man, this defensive lineman's great at getting a pass rush, but then he gets pushed around when the other team's running the ball. Like it makes sense. It's just the reality of it. So winning this battle in the trenches will be very substantial in this football game. The other thing is win the turnover battle. We all know the narrative of this football game. This is a really weird football game. It always is a really weird football game. It's never normal. Last year was more normal than usual for this game. It was more normal. But this game in general is always really weird. It'll be interesting. Do we go back to weirdness and crazy plays and long turnovers and special teams? Do we go back to that this year, or do we stick to last year where it was a little bit more of a normal game? There were still some things, but you get my point here. But I think the key there is win the turnover battle. So far this season, I think the Aggies have done a really good job taking care of the football. Marcel Reed has yet to throw an interception. Le'Veon Moss put the ball on the ground against Bowling Green, but top to bottom, I've been happy with how this team has taken care of the football for the most part a few games into the season. So winning the turnover battle will be huge. We saw the turnover battle be a massive part of Arkansas's game last week. They, I think had 4 interceptions they defensively picked the ball up 4 times and recovered a fumble. And then Taylor Green threw a couple interceptions. So, and I've talked about it. I like Taylor Green a lot. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he makes it really tough on defenses, but he can be a bit inaccurate at times. And I think that can lead to some Texas A&M interceptions if you make good plays. So or if you're in the right spot and stuff like that and you're covering well, I think you can make some good plays. So I'm very interested to see how that works itself out. The next thing that I have here is make a big play on special teams. In last year's game, Anaya Smith gave you a big play in special teams. That was really kind of the night, and I think that make a big play in special teams this week. You really, for the most part, haven't had a massive, special teams play yet. And I think that, you're not going to have a ton of them every year. So they're going to be far and few between a lot in college football games. And I think that having this be a game where you get a really huge special teams play could be important for this football team. I think it would be really helpful for this football team. So that is something I would really, really like to see. I would absolutely love to see the Aggies return a punt, take a kickoff to the house, whatever it is, because those points just make it so hard for the opposing team to win a football game. If you get 7 points off something like that, or if you set yourself up 1st and 10 from the Arkansas 17 with a punt return or a blocked punt. There's so many things it could, a blocked field goal. There's a lot that, turn in 3 points from them into a block and you set yourself up, you run it back to the Arkansas 16 and you potentially it's a 10-point swing. There's a lot you can do on special teams. So I would love to see the Aggies make a huge special teams play in this football game. And, once again, knowing how weird this series has been, I think that would be huge. And also knowing this is the last game of the series in, AT&T, I think it'd be really cool. Ladies and gentlemen, I've got a feeling this is going to be a weird football game. It's going to be a weird game. The last game there, where the old Cowboys play. I'm just telling y'all, it's going to be a weird one. Just go ahead and get ready for that now. We have a few more keys to victory for the Aggies over the Razorbacks, and then we're going to predict the wins or losses in the rest of the season. We'll talk about those things coming up right here on Locked On Aggies. But first, I got to tell you about our friends over at FanDuel. Hey, NFL fans, start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. There's a ton to bet on. You got Thursday Night Football coming up tonight. Lots of exciting things you can go over to FanDuel and bet on right now. Once again, Thursday night, we're going to start doing this. Every time we talk about FanDuel on a Thursday, we're going to say who's going to score the first touchdown. Me and my buddies, we always go to a restaurant here in town and have a few cold snacks and a few and get dinner and watch Thursday night game. And we always bet the first touchdown score. We're 2-1 on the year. Who do y'all think it's going to be? Let me know in the YouTube comments. And you can go bet on it with us at FanDuel.com. So, couple housekeeping notes here. We are going to do a crossover with John Neighbors, the GOAT. He's awesome. Of Locked On Razorbacks. I'll be recording that today, and that will be coming to y'all tomorrow morning. So we will have a crossover with our Locked On Razorbacks host. So that's coming. Excited about that. Looking forward to chopping it up with John about this football game. So be ready for that tomorrow. Should be a fun one. So another key to victory for the Aggies over the Razorbacks is don't let Taylen Green, get outside the pocket and run the football. He is, and I've talked about this throughout the week, he's one of those quarterbacks where he's really big, he's really strong, and, but he's also quick. So, yeah, he's 6'6", 230, but he can move. It's not like he's genuinely a dual threat, in my opinion. Some might say he's more of a rollout when he has the opportunity. I think I look at him as a dual threat quarterback. He's really quick. He can get outside of the pocket and make magic happen with his legs. He's just really, really talented in that way. So I'm pretty stoked to see how the Aggies stop him. Coach Elko talked about this early in the week. He talked about how preparing for Riley Leonard, similar, Riley Leonard, 6'4", 6'5", strong, quick quarterback, somewhat similar to what you got here in Taylen Green. How the preparation for Riley Leonard can help the Aggies in this football game. So that's good that you've already played a mobile quarterback, guy who can move, and a mobile quarterback in the same style. Riley Leonard and Taylen Green aren't your Lamar Jackson type of runners or your Jaden Daniels. They're more of your Josh Allen, Cam Newtons. They're strong, they're quick, they're surprisingly quick. They'll run over you, they'll run around you, but they're, that's kind of their style. So don't let Taylen Green pick up 3rd and 9 with his legs. Don't let Taylen Green get outside the pocket and pick up a ton of yards. Don't let any of that happen. And if you don't let any of that happen, I think you are going to win a lot of football games, and you're going to win this football game, So don't let Taylen Green run all over you. The next thing I have here is explosive plays. We talked a little bit about, having the big kick return or having the punt return, whichever it ends up being. You also want to see some explosive plays. And I really don't care if they come on the ground, if they come through the air. I just want explosive plays. Explosive plays are another huge part of weird football games. And I'm telling y'all, once again, this football game has weird game written all over it. So you want those explosive plays, whether they're through the air, whether they're on the ground, whether it's Marcel Reed running it, whether it's Le'Veon Moss running it, whether it's a deep pass to one of your receivers. Don't care what it is. You want some explosive plays in this football game. And the last thing is score, and this will always be a key to victory whenever I'm breaking down a Texas A&M football game, and that is score touchdowns, not field goals. You want to see Randy Bond going out there for an extra point, not a field goal. One of the best things about Coach Klein we talked about during the offseason was how good he is and how good he was last year at Kansas State when it came to scoring touchdowns in the red zone, not kicking field goals. He was one of the best in college football last year. And, it's something you want to see continue throughout SEC play. That wins games. Touchdowns win games. Field goals do not win games. That's just the reality. Sure, maybe you can kick 5 field goals and win a game 15 to 14 someday, maybe. But touchdowns win games. You want to score touchdowns. When this team starts driving the ball, you want to see them scoring 7, not 3. That is a huge key to victory in this game. So now I'm going to give y'all my prediction for the rest of the Texas A&M football season. So I think the Aggies beat Arkansas. I'll be honest with y'all, and I want to talk to John Neighbors about this when we do the crossover here, and we'll record it in a few hours, but come at y'all tomorrow. Is Arkansas, are we buying into this? Okay, they hung around, they beat Auburn on the road. They hang around with Oklahoma State, who's a solid football team. Are we buying into this? And that is the question. Are we buying into the hype here? And I don't know if I am. I don't think I am. I think they're a lot better than I expected. But I still think at a neutral site, the Aggies win this football game and improve on their win total early in the year. So I think that the Aggies do beat Arkansas. The next game here is Missouri. This is where this gets interesting to me. I have it down as a loss, and I'll tell you all why. And let's go ahead and do it. So let's go ahead and skip down to LSU, because this is where this conversation gets interesting. I have Missouri loss, Mississippi State win, LSU win. So obviously Mississippi State, not worried about that. Talking about Missouri and LSU. It's an early kickoff against Mizzou, and it's going to be a late kickoff against LSU, Mizzou and LSU. So it's a late kickoff against LSU, early kick against Missouri. I just think that the late kickoff against LSU, a team that the Aggies have played well against, I think that LSU and Missouri are very similar in how much they scare me. I'm so scared. I'm more scared of this team. You know what I mean? They're very similar. They're similar to me. So I think the game now, we know how great the environment will be for an early kickoff against Missouri. We're not going to sit here and act like it's not going to be a good environment, because we know it is going to be. But I think that LSU game is going to be utterly electric. And I am really a believer that late night kick, an LSU team that has looked questionable at times. They're solid, but are they great? And I don't think the answer to that's yes. So I think you split. Now, I'll tell you this, though. I do believe that both of these football games are winnable. I'm not going to predict the Aggies to go 2-0 in these games, but I think they're both incredibly winnable. So I would not put it outside the realm of possibility that the Aggies win both these games, but I would almost say confident that they win one of them. I genuinely believe that they win one of those 2 games, and I'm not sure which one yet, but I kind of lean LSU at the moment. So those 3 games those 2 games, Missouri and LSU, are very interesting. And your chances at 9-3 are going to be made or broken by whether or not you win one of those 2 football games. We're going to talk about the last few games of the year and give you a little Connor Wigman update coming up right here on Locked On Aggies. But I want to tell you about our friends over at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stats stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Right now, one Caleb Williams passing yard gets you one win on Prize Picks every week in September. That's right. Only 1 yard gets you an automatic win every football week in September. 4 weeks of free dubs. Don't miss this deal on Prize Picks because it's gone when September ends. Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. It's a really fun feature over at Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONCollege on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. So the last 3 games talk about here. South Carolina is a game that heading into the season, I remember I had a show about it as we got kind of deeper into the offseason, closer to the season, but it was a show about like, hey, is South Carolina be a little bit better than maybe we have discussed and we have anticipated? And I think the answer to that, I was right. I said yes, and I think I was right about that. I believe Texas A&M goes to Columbia and beats South Carolina. I do. I think South Carolina is a good football team. I think that they, got a blowout win over a really, really bad Kentucky team, and everyone went, oh, South Carolina is really good. I don't know if I'm buying that. I think that they're a solid team, and I think it now is a very tough game for the Aggies to go win on the road, but I think they get it done. I think they're a better football team than South Carolina. I think they've got more talent than South Carolina. I think they are top to bottom better. I think they win that game. New Mexico State, that's a win. Then Auburn, which was one of the more scary games heading into the season for me. And now I'm like, I have really, I mean, with how bad they are at quarterback, I'm not concerned about Auburn. I'll be honest with you. They don't have a quarterback. I don't care how talented they are, how many 5-stars freshmen they have now, and how good those guys are. Sure, great. We know Hugh Freeze can recruit. But until they have a quarterback, I'm just not going to be worried about Auburn. I'm just not. I don't think they're very good at the most important position. And, sure, the defense is great. I mean, Auburn turns the football over like 5 times against Arkansas, and you still hang around in that game. But here's the thing. Their offense is so bad that I don't think it matters. I do think the Aggies go and win that game on the road. Then lastly, Texas. I think the Aggies lose this game. I think Texas is really good. I think as Coach Elko kind of settles more into being the head coach here and this program continues to improve and get more of the guys and develop more talent, that the Aggies are going to hang with Texas. And this is going to get back to being the rivalry we all know it is. But I don't know if I'm a believer this year. I think the Aggies lose this game, but I do believe that Texas A&M can go 9-3. I think it's very real. I think it's very realistic. I think all you have to do to go 9-3 at this point now is beat a team you're not supposed to in LSU and Missouri, which I find both of those games incredibly winnable, and then take care of business, really, in all honesty, against Auburn and South Carolina. That's how, having beat Florida, if you beat Arkansas on Saturday, that's what we're going to be looking at. So really excited to see how this game plays out because it'll play a big role in the rest of the season. So Coach Elko said that Connor Wigman practiced in a limited, kind of off to the side type of thing, and that there's a chance that he could be active on Saturday. Here's my take on this. I don't believe Connor Wigman ends up playing on Saturday. And I think, once again, I think that Coach Elko sees the opportunity for a little gamesmanship here. And I think he's using that so that Arkansas has to prepare for both of these guys. But I don't believe Connor Wigman quarterbacks the Aggies on Saturday. I believe it will be Marcel Reed. And in a pivotal game like this, I think it's good to stick with the guy who's been solid, who's been good, and has proven he can win you SEC games and win you a road SEC game, even though obviously there's a neutral site. So that's the Connor Wigman update. There's a chance he's out there. I don't know if I'll believe it when I see it. It's kind of my take right now. But the chance, I thought it was 0, and it seems to be higher than 0. So definitely something to monitor over the next few days. That's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Aggies. Once again, tomorrow we're going to have a crossover with John Neighbors of Locked On Razorbacks. It's going to be a lot of fun. Really excited to record that. Hope everyone has an excellent rest of their Thursday. Thank you all so much for being here every single day. And we will see you tomorrow right here on Locked On Aggies.